there. What's this? I've never seen this before.
Letters?
Yeah. So this is from my grandma. What's about?
Carlos Lopez died today, leaving his son, Francisco Lopez, to be president of Paraguay.
Father, you can't die. You're the ruler of the country. What do I have to do?
President Lopez
was also the reason that my younger sister Naomi and I were able to attend school, because he improved education programs for the children. However, he was viewed by many as a dictator since he suspended the Constitution and took sole control of the country. Even after his death, citizens are still talking about how corrupt his rule was. After all, he didn't own half of the land in Paraguay and was known to use some of the government's revenue for his own purposes. Hopefully, President Lopez's son will not rise to power just to become another dictator like his father. Adios, Ingrid Ortiz.
Dear Ingrid, it sounds as though the death of President Lopez will perhaps pave the way to a better, less corrupt government. After all, the maxim of father like son is not always applicable. Hopefully, Francisco Lopez will become a president who works for Paraguay and not for personal gain. However, it is good to have a friend to write to in these hard times. Our entire family has to crowd into a small canvas tent outside the city. For yesterday evening, on July 4th, a fire roared through Portland and set our house ablaze, along with 1,800 others. The most awful part of this entire ordeal is that the fire could have been prevented. The newspaper this morning read that the cause of the fire was either an unattended firecracker or a cigarette ash. It makes me positively livid that one person's careless mistake caused nearly 10,000 people to become homeless, including myself. Everything that we own is gone, except for the clothes on my backs and the few precious heirlooms my mother managed to grab before the fire swept down Commercial Street, where we live. Although the firemen managed to arrive shortly after the fire started, the high winds and hot temperature spread the flames all over Portland. Not even the powerful steam fire engines could put out the fire, and many buildings were burned down before recognition. The army sent supplies and tents for the homeless to shelter in, but there is only enough food or space to fit 10,000 people. Not enough. The heat is almost unbearable. For now, I must take my leave and try to get some sleep. Best regards, Nancy Miller.
Dear Nancy, I could not believe my eyes when I read in your letter about the blaze that swept through your city. How long do you think that you will be forced to stay in that squalid tent with the other 4 members of your family? I was also incensed that a foolish thing like a firecracker was the thing that caused 10,000 people to be displaced from their homes. While you are certainly dealing with much strife in Maine, Paraguay has been embroiled in a war with Argentina, Uruguay, and Brazil. La Guerra Grande, the Great War, was all caused by a political dispute between Francisco Solano Lopez and the leaders of Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay. I guess President Lopez was no better than his corrupt father. When Brazil helped the government leader of the Colorado Party in Uruguay to defeat his opponent, President Lopez saw Brazil's act as an act of treachery and declared war. Uruguay and Argentina sided with Brazil, and together they formed La Triple Alianza, the Triple Alliance. Lopez has formed a mighty army of 60,000 men, but I suspect that the forces of the Triple Alliance will overcome Paraguay. My father has been drafted in the army, and my mother, Naomi, and I wonder if we will ever see him again. As of now, the war is raging wildly, and I wonder if my family will be forced to leave Paraguay. Hasta luego, Ingrid.
Dear Ingrid, the war sounds awful, far worse than the Portland fire. It is terrible that Francisco Lopez turned out to be following his predecessor's footsteps. I hope that you and your family are safe and well, and that your father comes home soon. The last war that occurred in the United States was the Civil War, but that is past us now. Even though Portland burned to the ground, I have to at least a bit of good news to contradict your experiences with war. Since the disaster happened with the fire department has taken steps to prevent Portland from ever burning like that again. Since the firemen did not receive a word of the fire until it was too late, they have installed a fire alarm system in Portland and are at this moment cleaning up the debris and attempting to rebuild. The firemen have also formulated a plan to pump water into Portland from Sebago Lake so that, in case of future fire, we have more water available. Also,
an enormous construction project is taking place. Where the old exchange building was before it burned down is now set to house Portland's very own customs building. Since Portland is one of the most successful seaports in the country, collecting a revenue of over $900,000 a year, a custom house was needed in order to keep the customs business going. Since the architects were still recovering from the fire, the building is constructed of granite, slate, and other fireproof materials. The architect for the U.S. Custom House is a man named Alfred Mullet. Mullet has also been commissioned to construct a few other buildings in Portland. The entire project is estimated to take about 5 years. Hopefully by that time, Portland will be restored and I'll be living in a real house. I hope to hear back from you soon. Nancy.